Hi, my name is Melinda Redding. I am one of two primary advisors in the psychology department for undergraduate students seeking a Bachelor of Arts degree in psychology. I would like to take a few minutes to walk you through the handout that I like to use when working with my advisees. The first page of the handout shows general liberal arts requirements. As you can see on the page, there are a number of different areas of liberal arts represented, and coursework is required in each area. The first area on the page is the English area. Under the English requirements, students are required to take 6 hours of writing coursework and 6 hours of literature coursework. The writing coursework must have that writing prefix. The literature coursework has to be survey of literature, and the courses that will satisfy that requirement are listed out to the side. The next requirement is the modern language requirement. The university does offer a number of different languages to choose from. The requirement is that students must have 6 hours at the 200 level or above in a given language. Most students will need to start at the 100 level as a prerequisite to get into the 200 level course, but the requirement is actually 6 hours at the 200 level. The humanities requirement says that students must have one 3-hour course that falls under the area of humanities, and courses that will work for that, again, are listed out to the side. The history requirement says that students must have 6 hours of history coursework. Any history courses will satisfy this requirement. They can be anywhere from 100 on up. There are a few courses in the catalog listed that cross-reference as a history course. Those would also work as long as they cross-reference as a history course. Psychology students don't need to worry about the social science requirement because psychology is considered a social science. So the coursework toward the major, the psychology coursework, will satisfy the social science requirement. The fine arts requirement says that students must have one 3-hour fine arts course. The course must be an appreciation or survey type course. The studio courses will not work for that. There are a number of courses, again, listed out to the side that will work to satisfy that requirement. Only one mathematics course is required to meet the math requirement. Any math course at the 100 level or above will satisfy that requirement, with the exception of the two that are listed out to the side. Those two courses are about teaching mathematics. The last requirement on the page is the natural science requirement. The natural science requirement says that students must have 3 lecture courses and 2 labs in the natural sciences. Further, the requirement states that 2 of the lecture courses must be in the same area and 1 lecture course must be in a different area. For example, students may want to take 2 biology courses and a chemistry course, or 2 geology courses and an astronomy course. You can combine that whatever works best for you, just as long as 2 lectures are in the same area and 1 lecture is in a different area. The second page of the handout addresses major coursework, minor coursework, and the advanced hours requirement. At the top, the major coursework, psychology majors are required to have 30 hours of psychology coursework that are broken down into sections. I will explain that on the next page, the third page of the handout, which lists all of our psychology courses. The next section addresses minor coursework. All Bachelor of Arts majors in the College of Liberal Arts must have a minor, and that minor must be selected from the list of approved minors. The list can be found on the 4th page of this handout. Most minors require 18 hours of coursework, but some of them vary just a little bit. This page contains a section to keep up with general electives. General electives are those courses that don't count toward the major or the minor or the general liberal arts requirements. They're just any other coursework that doesn't fit neatly anywhere else on this page. Those are general electives. Students do not have to have a certain number of hours of general electives. I just left a number of blanks here which are enough for most students. The last section is a place to keep up with advanced hours. If you look down at the bottom of the page, you can see in the first bullet point that students are required to have 120 hours minimum to graduate with a Bachelor of Arts in Psychology. Of those 120 hours, at least 40 hours, that's a third of them, must be at that 300 level or above. So the advanced hours section gives blanks for students to write in those courses that are at that level. Now, those are not in addition to the major courses or minor courses or the other things. That's including those. So just looking at the overall 120 hours required to graduate, a third of those have to be at the 300 level or above. There are some other requirements listed there at the bottom. For example, there are some GPA requirements. In order to graduate with a Bachelor of Arts in Psychology, students must have a minimum of a 2.0 GPA overall, a 2.0 GPA in the major coursework, and a minimum 2.0 GPA in the minor coursework. There are some residency requirements that apply mainly to transfer students. Only or rather at least 12 hours of the psychology coursework must be from the University of Mississippi to receive a Bachelor of Arts in Psychology, and at least 6 hours of the minor coursework must be from the University of Mississippi. Overall, transfer students can transfer up to 60 hours toward their degree, but no more than 60 hours. During the last 21 hours at the University of Mississippi, no more than 6 hours can be transferred. This is important to note, especially for students who may want to take some I-study courses. I-study courses are considered transfer courses even though they're through the University of Mississippi. So you will not want to take more than 6 hours of anything that counts as transfer work during the last 21 hours of coursework. The third page of the handout addresses psychology requirements. The page is broken down into sections. The first section lists required courses. Psychology 201, which is general psychology, and Psychology 202, which is our behavioral statistics. Those two courses are required. There are no other courses that will substitute for those courses. Those two are required. Psychology 201 is a prerequisite to all of the other courses on this page with the exception of the Psychology 202. The second section is the list the 4 core courses. Of those 4 core courses, psychology majors must have 3 of those. So you must choose 3 out of those 4 courses. The next section is the lab requirements. Psychology majors are required to have 1 psychology lab. Those psychology labs correspond to the core courses, but they cannot be taken at the same time. The core course for a given lab is a prerequisite for the lab. For example, the social psychology lab requires that a student passed social psychology before they can enroll in the social psychology lab. The lab courses are standalone courses worth 3 hours credit. The bottom of the page lists psychology electives. These are all of the other courses that are taught in psychology. Now, they're not all taught every semester. They vary by semester, but those are other courses that can be selected from. Psychology majors are required to have 30 hours of psychology coursework. That includes the 2 required courses, 3 of the core courses, 1 psychology lab, which leaves 4 courses to select from the psychology electives. The list of psychology electives is broken down by prerequisites. That's why they're set apart in different groups. You can read the prerequisites. The last page of the handout lists the approved minors. As mentioned earlier, psychology majors must have a minor. And the minor must come from the list of approved minors. Most minors, again, are 18 hours, but some require a little more. At the bottom of the page is you can find the instructions for how to declare a minor. You can also go through those same instructions to change a minor. If you change your mind at some point and want to do something different, you can just go through that same process again.